Afternoon, VC. All right, so I've got a few pretty random finds over the last few weeks that we'll share here. Kind of all over the map as far as genre is concerned and whatnot. A few rare pieces that I'll save for the end. First of all, I went into Premium Sound in Gold Tone Workshop the other day, and I left with this instead of a wall record. This would be the Big Muff Electro Harmonics Badass Pedal for the Guitar. I used to have a Sovtek version, the big green one that Billy Corgan always used back in the day, and I sold it, so I hadn't had a Big Muff in years. So I grabbed that for the guitar setup. But I did also go through all the 12-inch singles that I had talked about in that 12-inch singles video I did for Rob Walker. And because Luke's got a ton of them in there. And I found 3. I took a chance on a couple. And one turned out great, one not so great. And one is for VCLT. We've got this one I was really curious about. I didn't know if I was going to dig it or not, but I really dig this cut. This is Miles Davis' Shout, 12-inch single off the album The Man with the Horn, and it's a white label Columbia promo copy. So this would have been a radio station promo. Yeah, it's a double A-sider. This is it's a badass tune, that kind of more soul jazzy deal on that album, I think. I don't have that record. I'd actually like to pick that up if I see it, The Man with the Horn. If it's anything at all like the whole record's like this cut, Shout. There's a short version and a long version. The short version on one side, and on the, I think is it the A side, or the long version's on the A side, the short version's on the B. And then I found this. This will be for the Zonk Man, as him and his wife are huge fans of this band. Couldn't leave it behind in the 12-inch single section, and that's Vast, Pretty When You Cry. A couple mixes of that. Great cut off of Visual Audio Sensory Theater. So this will be going to the Zonk Man next time I see him. Great California artist. Yeah, that's one of the most famous songs from Vast. Had never seen that before. And I also grabbed a similar album, just with the sticker on the front, of Moby. And it was When I Reach for My Revolver. But it was like, I was thinking maybe the A side would have the album version, but it only had like disco remixes. It was horrifyingly terrible. I had to dispose of it. It was so bad. I can't even give that away or warrant putting it back in a record store. Is Moby's mixes. Oh God, I don't know when that was in, but it was terrifyingly awful. So it went in the T-Rash. One of the only times I've ever had to do that. But it was $1. So next, this came from Permanent Records in Lance out in LA. One of the last records I needed for this band. There's a book that Jim at Channel Rufus had turned me on to. Difficult read. I'm not a big fan of that author. I think it's Julian Cope, but it's the Jap Rock Sampler. But a lot of the bands he featured in there were very intriguing, and if I see anything in that book, I'm going to pick it up. And it's the Far East Family Band. This is Tenkunjin. This is on All Ears Records, a U.S. original from 1977. It's got a really trippy, cool cover. And yeah, I listened to just the A side so far. I didn't care for the last track, Timeless Phase. It's pretty slow and not really doing a whole lot. But the first 2 songs are great, especially the title track, Tenkunjin. Really great. Prog-ish, psychedelic stuff. They just do that. They just do prog better in Japan, I guess. I don't know. I think this is great. Bill, at the vinyl verse, I think you dig the hell out of this. Fumio Miyashita is pretty much the leader of this group with Hirohito Fukushima. Yeah, and a great drummer and bassist too, from Japan, Far East Family Band. I think I have maybe 3 or 4 of their records now. Great stuff. Next is the band I always talk about on this channel, my favorite band of all time, Longfish. They finally reissued Necrophones for the first time. There's Longfish groups on Facebook that have been begging for this for years. Well, it's finally here. Discord has put it out. Not one of their best records by any means, but one that's never been reissued, and originals are, up there in price now. So for them to put out, a $16 reissue is great, and they're doing all these reissues on colored wax, which is great for completists because it is something a little different. And this is on white vinyl with the original labels, similar to the first press, with the cool insert with the lyrics from Daniel Higgs. Great Baltimore repetitive groove. Awesome band. And now they only have one more to go to have reissued everything in the catalog. And then let's see, I think Thursday, took the intern at work to lunch. He was curious about Camp North End, and I immediately thought about the great Empanadas place that's up there. And it's the first restaurant that they ever put in Camp North End here in Charlotte. It's a big complex. It used to be the Ford plant. I think they made Model A's there back in the day. Maybe Model T's. I think it was Model A's. And then the U.S. Army took over that whole complex, and it's massive. And they made missiles for one of the wars there. And then it stayed dormant for years, and now it's multi-use. So it's, all small business and office space. And now they're building apartments around it, and it's all kind of blown up over there. But it's very expensive to rent there. So businesses come and go quite frequent. The ones that are established are there for a reason. It means they're really good at what they do. And so the Empanadas place for lunch, that's the first restaurant. It's been there the whole time. It's great. But he had brought up that he heard I was a record collector on the drive up. And I told him, oh yeah. And I said, you know what? There's a record store next to where we're going to eat. We can run in there. So we went into Hardy Boys, and I left with 3 records. The first I found is one for my John Coltrane collection that I've just always passed on picking up it's not a cheap original anymore, and I've always just wanted to find a clean reissue of any type, and so here it is, John Coltrane and Johnny Hartman. And this is an interesting pressing on MCA from 1980, from what I can gather. But it's great lineup. Coltrane on tenor, McCoy Tyner piano, Jimmy Garrison bass, and Elvin Jones drums. Of course, with Johnny Hartman. Yeah, they put a white sticker over the Impulse symbol on the jacket, because at this time they dissolved Impulse, I guess. And took Impulse off of the label on the... There's some that say MC Records Impulse on them, on the Rainbow label, but they removed Impulse from their labels too. Interesting. But a clean copy, $13. Very happy to pick that up. And finally have the music. And then this was a pretty decent find. They had got a big soul collection in R&B, and I picked this up. It was $30. I thought it might have been a little overpriced. The cover is pretty shot, but the record's VG++, bordering on near mint, which is crazy. But it's a Minnie Riperton, Come to My Garden. This is orchestra arranged and conducted by Charles Stepney on this with her. It presents pretty well, but it is pretty torched, this cover. It's one of those uni-packs. It's a 1970 copy. I was hoping maybe it was an original. interesting on Discogs. There's only, I think, one for sale of the original first press. I think they want $175 for it, which seems a bit crazy. I figured this must have been pressed a million times, but it is a 1970 copy, but it is the second label, so the first repress basically on GRT, and that goes for anywhere from like 40, 45 to $100, and this was 30. So I was very happy to get it for the price I did. We'll show you the record. Yeah, this cover's pretty shot. There's a nice photo on the inside. Great singer. Of course, the mother of Maya Rudolph from movies and Saturday Night Live. But here's your record. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous copy. Very, very happy to find this. So I added that to my soul and R&B section. Minnie Riperton. And I like this record better than, I think, the one that came after. Couldn't get into some of the songs on the other one. And then another record I picked up there. This is on Folkways. I think it was originally released in '61. That's Van Ronk Sings. It's got a little bit of water damage, which you can't really tell on the back cover. So this was a really good price. I might upgrade this if I find it again someday, but beautiful vinyl on Folkways. I dig the other Dave Van Ronk record I had. You know, great folk stuff. And so I thought I'd grab this. It's the only time I've ever seen it in a shop. So, and it is one of those where it has the split sleeve, so the other side has the booklet, and it's there, the lyric sheet anyway, of Dave Van Ronk Sings Volume 2. A lot of the times that stuff's missing from these Folkways records, so I was very happy that this was intact, and we'll give that a spin here soon. And then last night I snuck into Lunchbox on the way home from work. I had finally decided to pick this one up, and that is Yaz Ahmed's new record. I missed out on the pre-order. They had a limited numbered version, so I just settled for picking this up at Lunchbox, the regular black version, but it's a double LP. Paradise in the Hold on Nighttime Stories is the label. And Yaz Ahmed is a wonderful, wonderful trumpet player. She is out of the UK. She's originally from Bahrain, and that the music from Bahrain is what comes out heavily in this release. A little more than her prior releases. So I like some of her earlier records better than this, but this is beautiful, wonderful music. It's a double LP. It was $30. You can't beat that, you know. And beautiful labels, custom labels, very well pressed, very quiet. Because her tone is that of the most beautiful Miles Davis tone. I can compare it to Miles in that regard. That real subtle, beautiful tone. Yeah, it says the Ivor Novello award-winning trumpeter and composer Yaz Ahmed. His fourth studio album. Yeah, cutting-edge Arabic jazz inspired by the folk music of her native Bahrain. There's some good vocals on here too. This is beautiful stuff. This will be up there as one of my best jazz records of the year. Yaz Ahmed, A Paradise in the Hold. All right, now to some of the rare stuff that has come in. I can't remember if I showed this or not, so we'll show it here in this video. Jim at Channel Rufus, he's been pumping out some videos. It's been a while. Very happy he is, because I always find stuff of interest. He did a great blues video, and I think one of the first records he showed was an Ishman Bracy record, and I had some of his old 78s on my want list, and I didn't know there was any, normal releases of his. And I'm going through one of the sites I normally look at every now and again, like Dusty Groove or Craig Moore's site. He's a big online seller in Portland. And this was there. So I immediately ordered it. This is Ishman Bracy. This is a RCA Victor Race Series Volume 1. It's a EP on 7-inch from the UK. Yeah. Great little EP with 4 songs live from 1928. These are basically off those 78s I'm looking for. This is recorded in the Memphis Auditorium in Memphis, Tennessee, way back then. And this sounds incredible, and it's that nice mono, whatever type of sleeve they like to make in the UK. Mint copy. Very cool. It's got Brown Mama Blues and Trouble Hearted Blues on the A. Great vocalist and guitar player. And Leavin' Town Blues and the 4 Days Blues on the B. Ishman Bracy. So that was a really cool find. Really digging that. I really don't even need to get the 78s now because, it's right here on this one 7-inch. And then speaking of 7 inches, I got a very rare 7-inch here. One of the rarest that I think I've been able to find. There is maybe one copy out there, probably for $250 or $260, something like that. It's a lot. I got this for significantly less. Very, very cheap because of condition. But it listed that it played through. The listing said no skips, and it does not skip. There is surface noise throughout, but I'm going to clean it again. I've cleaned it once. I'm going to see if another clean helps it. Maybe even take it up to Dylan to run through the ultrasonic. But I'm pleased with it because the music comes right through, and that is the Loudmouth 7-inch single from Philip Karan and the Artistic Heritage Ensemble on Zulu Records. And it's got Talkin' Drum and Francophone Blues on the B side. And the A side, that Loudmouth cut is so good, it stands out over the other 2 cuts by far. There's some incredible drumming on there, great horns. It's just a great tune, and one that I could imagine has been sampled to death if anybody can get a hold of the music. The year of this release is unknown. I would think maybe somewhere around 67, maybe somewhere in that territory. This is a 33 1/3 RPM playing 7-inch. Fantastic stuff. Pretty joyous music. These cuts on here, really great Chicago jazz, funky at times, soulful stuff. And then last but not least, I got a very rare cassette from Japan. This is how this was originally released in 1992. This is Peter Brozman and Soji Hano duo from their Japan tour in September to October of 91 on the EGG Records label. Still in the original shrink. I haven't busted this open yet. I just got it here a few days ago. I got to bust out the old Sony boombox and give that a go. Now, this Funny Rat, basically like an EP, has been released on vinyl finally out of China, I think last year or the year before. And Joe at Analog Archive, who collects Brozman, was able to get one. I think he had to get it from Japan. Or not Japan, he got it from China, and I think he had to pay in Bitcoin or something. I was like, oh man, you're going to get taken to the cleaners. But he got it, and I guess it sounds pretty good, so I might look into getting it on vinyl, but I think it's $90 and up already, which is kind of crazy for a new reissue. That's only ever been reissued one other time on CD. But should be a good duo between Brozman and that. Hano's a drummer, percussionist. So I'm looking forward to that. Some great free jazz. But I think that's everything that's come in. Tonight at 8 Eastern, Mazzy and Dom at Seeking Thread are going to have a live stream to honor Billy Jones from Billy's Record Salon. So I hope anybody interested can make it on for that. I'll be there. Yeah, looking forward to hearing other stories about Billy. Yeah, huge loss for our community. Take care. Peace.